I am California of the past.
I am California of the past.
I am California of the past.
My folks came out here from Nebraska to Sacramento in a Model A Ford in 1935. My dad worked as a grocery store clerk until he got the job working in Roseville at the PFE a year later, and we moved to Roseville. My wife Jeanette and I grew up together. We lived about 2 blocks away from each other. She on Clinton and I on Royer Street. As young kids, we didn't care for one another. We went to school starting at Vernon Street School in kindergarten and on to Atlantic Street School and then on to Roseville High. We didn't date until our senior year, after which she had just come back from San Francisco Children's Hospital because she had polio. I dated her for the first time on graduation night in 1951. Because my date couldn't go and her date couldn't go. From there we went to Placer Junior College and got married on March the 8th, 1953. 3 days later, on March the 11th, I joined the Army and we were moved to Washington, D.C., which was a wonderful place to spend our youth. As kids, my sister and I would spend every summer at my aunt and uncle's farm in Nebraska. My dad worked for the railroad, so we got free passes on the train. During the summertime, from the age of 8 to about 15, they'd put us on the train and give the porter $10 to watch us kids. My mom would pack a basket of food for our trip. When we'd get to Nebraska, they'd drop us off and my aunt would pick us up and take us to the farm. I grew up wanting to be a farmer. I thought that was the greatest life to have. So when we went into the service, we drove to Washington, D.C. and stopped in Nebraska. My aunt and uncle had no children. They asked, when you get out of the service, would you like to have the farm? Well, my eyes, I'm sure, got as big as saucers. So Jeanette and I went into town and we talked about it. That was when Jeanette tried to take eggs out from the chickens and came in and told my aunt, I can't get them because the hens are picking at me. My aunt said, well, shoo them off there. And then she tried to feed the calves and they knocked the pail out of her hands. So we went to town and she said, I can't be a farmer's wife. So we came back and had to tell my aunt and uncle that no, we can't take the farm. That was the end of my career as a farmer. I always thought that it would be a great life, but Jeanette couldn't cut out the life of a Roseville wife. That was it. After 2 years in the service, we moved back here to North Highlands for about 1.5 years and started our family, which includes our daughter Geri Jo and our son Mike. We bought the house at 612 Vine Avenue in 1955, 57, somewhere around there. It's right across the street from St. Rose School where we raised our children. When I first got out of the service, I worked part-time at a service station for George Buljan, who was mayor of Roseville at the time. George lived just down the street from me on Vine Avenue. He stopped by one evening while I was cutting my lawn and asked me if I had any questions for him. I said, yeah, George, what the heck is this environmental impact committee that you folks are putting together? He says, I don't know. Do you want to be on it? And I said, I don't know. So the next Wednesday, George appoints me to the environmental impact committee. And that's how I got my start in local politics. Up to that time, I had no idea or desire to do anything with city government. I was playing softball with the guys I grew up with and having fun. So I was working on the environmental committee and then was appointed to the planning commission. In 1980, I decided to run for city council and was elected a mayor. In those days, the person who got the most votes became the mayor. So 4 times I ran, I got the most votes each time, therefore became the mayor from 1980 to 2001. So I really got started by chance. There are many people who worked with me and encouraged me. During that time, I worked for Caltrans for 38 years. Besides my state experience, I had an insurance agency for about 20 years, run by Jeanette mostly, and we sold that when we moved into Sun City. Well, I didn't become a Nebraska farmer, but I wouldn't change anything about my life.